Greetings. You're listening to Rebels Remembered, featuring Caitlin DeFord and Kelsey DeFord.
Greetings, travelers from across the galaxy. I am Caitlin.
I am Kelsey.
And this is Rebels Remembered, and we're continuing with Season 3 of Star Wars Rebels. Today we're discussing Episode 4, 3 or 4, depending on if you count.
If you split the first season opener into 2 episodes.
Yeah. And it's called the Antilles Extraction.
So the Antilles Extraction aired on October 6th, 2016. The synopsis reads, and this is, I believe, from StarWars.com. With the rebellion in desperate need of pilots, Sabine goes undercover as an Imperial cadet to recruit defectors, including the confident and gifted Wedge Antilles. This was written by Greg Witta, who joined the Season 3's writing team after he spent time as a story developer and writer for Rogue One. So that was interesting. This was directed by Saul Ruiz.
Alright, so some trivia on this episode. This episode was originally to be titled Dark Lighter and was to depict Biggs' defection, and Biggs is in, I believe, the original trilogy of Star Wars. However, the Lucasfilm Story Group realized that the logistics of the story in canon would be difficult to set up, so they changed the character to Wedge. Rig charges that separate the solar collectors from the ties is a nod to an old Kenner toy. Oh, where kids pressed a button to pop off the wings to simulate battle damage. Yeah, that is battle damage. You lost your wings.
Yeah. It was interesting to see in the show. We'll get to it, but yeah. Very interesting. To see what a tie looks like without the wings on it. You know,
just like an orb floating around in space. Reviewers have noted, which I'm one of them, that I think I mentioned that to you, have noted parallels between this episode and Season 1's Breaking Ranks, except here it is Ezra playing the role of Kanan, worrying about the infiltrator. So in Breaking Ranks, it was Kanan worrying about Ezra, which I think shows his growth in this episode, and then this is like flip. Wedge and... Oh, this is Hobby's real name.
Yeah, I had to find it on the trivia page, too.
Wedge and Derek Clivian, or Hobby, are pilots seen in A New Hope. Sabine never learns Hobby's name, hence the slight pause when she introduces him to Commander Sato. Okay, I was wondering that. I was like, because I didn't know. I was like, I don't know Hobby's name.
You gotta hear this is Wedge Antilles, and pause. Hobby. I don't know his name. His full name. I didn't either until I looked on StarWars.com.
A year before this aired, the 2015 trilogy Aftermath by Chuck Wendig mentions Wedge's possible connection to Fulcrum, who he mentions recruited him to the rebel side. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought about reading some of that trilogy. It looked really cool to see like everything kind of connect, which I know some people hate that, but I'm like, I'm for it. Like,
I am to a point. To a point. You can go overboard.
You can go overboard, like the ice cream guy. The guy carrying the ice cream machine in New Hope. He has a whole backstory now. He's probably got a 20-page Wikipedia page, probably. Yeah, you can't go overboard with it. So this episode kind of starts off in a very ominous... A lot of them are kind of starting... in a very ominous fashion. Basically, it says after losing fighters and pilots in a devastating attack, the rebellion decides to act on intel. So basically, it opens with a lot of these... pilots for the rebel side. I guess they're trying to bring supplies to... Yeah. It mentions the planet. I can't remember the name of it. That are in desperate need of food and supplies, and they're basically just cut down. I mean, even though you kind of... Again, this episode very much still shows some of the differences between the rebellion and the Empire that we've already talked about. For example... They were giving up. They were surrendering. They claimed they have no weapons aboard, but yet, like, you're still the problem because you're assisting a rebel faction. So we need to get rid of you. It's sort of the Empire mentality.
Yeah.
But they're losing a lot of pilots because of these actions and things. I think even Ezra says, "How many has that been? Like, who do we have left?" You know,
which is kind of dark. You know, like, how many people have died already in this fight against the Empire?
Yeah. So they get some intel provided by another Fulcrum. This is interesting. Ezra even is like excited, like, "Oh, is Ahsoka alive?" And they're like, "No, like there's other Fulcrums in this whole intelligence system." But it's interesting that the hollow image it looks like a Tano symbol to me.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. Who the agent informs them that there's defectors at this Imperial Academy. But they
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which my one flaw with this episode is here's some defectors. I don't know anything else. Like, I feel like we should at least know their name so we know who we're going to get, you know?
Yeah, and again, very quick to just go with this intel.
Yeah.
And we know in the past that sometimes the intel can be wrong for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so...
But it might be because they're
desperate.
just desperate for pilots.
Yeah,
probably.
So let's just take this lead and just run with it. But they do give the leader, Sabine, to take lead on the mission, which I think is kind of like the right move. Like, yeah, we are jumping the gun here very quickly, but we're sending someone in that's very knowledgeable with Imperial protocol and all that fun stuff.
And I love how Ezra's like, well, I want to, why can't I go? And they're like, you're too recognizable. Like the Empire, you know. And then I think Hera says Sabine's the least recognizable to us, and it might be because of the helmet she wears.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. You just said that. So Sabine enters the academy, and she is assigned a training simulation, which I could be wrong. I don't think I've ever seen these training simulators. I'm sure they're there in other
stuff,
canons,
yeah.
But what do you think about that?
I was about to just say, like, can someone please invent one? You know how cool that would be to fly, like, act like you're flying a tie?
The Japanese cabinets.
Yeah, the pod.
The pods. Those look so dope.
But these things actually, like, when you move like you're in a simulation, they rotate and stuff, which is kind of crazy. But they're stationary at the same time.
Yeah, when you saw that scene, did you think this was actually happening? Like, she was actually blowing up rebellion ships? Or did you think that this was a simulation?
I'm trying to go back when we first watched this episode. I think I knew because when they were like, shoot those Y-wings, and she was like, okay, you know, I'm just blowing them all. I'm like, I don't think Sabine would be blowing away her own crew, you know?
Yeah.
And once it started kind of replaying what we saw in the beginning of the transport, we don't have any weapons, the same exact thing. Yeah. And I was like, wait, were they the ones that, you know, I think they did that to make the audience think, oh, was she there when they blew this thing up? But, no, I think I knew it was a simulation. I just didn't know how it was doing it until they showed us the giant simulators.
Simulator pods or whatever. So she is partnered with Wedge as her, I guess, wingman on the simulator. And of course, did you know who Wedge was when you watched this episode?
Yeah, I think in the trailer of season 3, they put that part in there of "You can call me Wedge," and I remember people freaking out. And I knew who Wedge was. It's like, oh, we get to see how he, you know, joins.
Yeah. So if you don't know who Wedge is, he's in the original trilogy of Star Wars. Yeah, and he's voiced by, I believe, Nathan Kress here.
Yeah, and he kind of looks like him, like the character.
Yeah. So it's interesting though, you see their first interactions, because we know it's Wedge, obviously, but he wants to be personable with her. Like, hey, I'm Wedge. You know, what's your name? Yeah. We can be buddies. And then immediately shut down, like, no, use your call signals, because that's, no.
Because we're all about numbers.
We're all about numbers. You have no personality. Kind of thing. Of course, she hesitates to destroy a defenseless rebel craft. The Ghost is also in these simulations, which I find hilarious.
It's like, oh, what, you can't beat them in real life, so you're trying to train your pilots to figure out what to do to them, like, later?
So she's chastised by their instructor to always follow orders.
And there's this moment where Wedge is like, look, I know there's right and wrong or whatever. They have this conversation about what just happened, and he's kind of like, well, I mean, there's really nothing we could do. I'm just kind of looking out for you, you know?
Yeah. Because then she says something like, well, I believe in the right and wrong. And he said, yeah, that won't get you anywhere around here.
Yeah. That's
something like that. Yeah. So it's like he already knows it.
It's pointless to argue with him.
Kind of like similar to Luke's situation at the beginning of A New Hope, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I hate the Empire, but there's nothing I can do about it, you know?
Speaking of Luke, sorry, we're going to go down a rabbit hole for a minute. We don't have to include this. We can cut it out if we need to. It's interesting that in A New Hope, that's all Luke wants to do is go be with his friends and fly. And it's kind of hones into that phrase of, like, the grass is always greener. Because you're hearing from Wedge in this episode, like, I didn't want to sign up for this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sign up to kill people. I didn't sign up, I just wanted to fly and, just to fly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting you get, you think about Luke and him wanting to join up, but then you have Wedge here going, I probably shouldn't have done that,
Yeah, it could also be, like, I think even Wedge says, well, at home I was just doing, I think he says cargo shipping.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is sort of that whole idea of romanticizing being in the military, being in war, and then you're in it, and it's not nothing like you thought. Mm-mm. It's not like glory and
adventure,
and yeah, all of that stuff. It's a lot different than, like you said, the grass is always greener. So shortly thereafter, we have Governor Pryce and Agent Callis arrive. They send word that they believe some of the cadets are ready to defect, and then they begin conducting a full investigation. Interesting to see Pryce working on her own here rather than having Thrawn and her kind of...
I think this was kind of just showing that she's a formidable opponent by herself on her own. I mean, Sabine kicks her butt, but...
She's very cold, though, as we've already established in her other early appearance. We get more of her in this episode, but yeah, she's very, very cold. So, this is the part that me and you talked about, is that Sabine kind of overhears that there's going to be an investigation and into these so-called defectors, and then she just happens to catch Wedge and the other two guys, Hobby and Rake, I believe is the other guy's name, in the hallway, like, what are we going to do? Kind of like in hushed tones. And that's when she approaches Wedge and says, well, hi, is it everything going like you thought? Or then they have this sort of banter back and forth about kind of like what you said, like disillusioned with what they signed up for.
Yeah.
But to me, and something you mentioned, is I wouldn't be so quick as to, hey, I'm here to rescue you. Because we don't know who's on the good side, who's on the bad side.
Until I'm 100% certain that you're not going to betray me.
I mean, we know Wedge is not, because we know who Wedge is. Sabine doesn't know who Wedge is. I think there should have been more planning involved, like, hey, there's his code phrase, but then it's like, how do you get the other people to know about the code phrase?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Well, here it's revealed that Wedge beamed something out to the rebellion. So I guess Fulcrum just happened to catch it and sent it to the rebellion? On their base, I guess. I'm not really sure how that worked out. See, I was confused about that, too.
It's mentioned in that Aftermath trilogy, and I can't remember it. I just remember Wedge, it's saying something about Wedge mentioning something to Fulcrum, and Fulcrum passing it on to the rebellion.
Oh, okay.
So that could have just been Fulcrum's first transmission that we saw. But yeah, it wouldn't be so quick to just be like, hey, I'm with the rebellion.
I mean,
to someone I don't know.
She's still not as quick about it, but she's a little bit quick on the gun there, like...
Yeah. So, yeah, he confides his disillusionment with the Empire, and Sabine reveals that she's there to extract him and his friends. What's interesting is that then he says, well, what's the plan? And she's like, I'll let you know what I think about it. And then, right after that, she says, welcome to the rebellion. Where it's like, you fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah. Let's just see if this is going to work. Sometimes you have to do that,
Yeah. So they develop a plan that on an impending space flight, Sabine will signal a rebel ship which is standing by. We do have a moment where it does cut back to Kanan and Ezra.
Yeah.
I think before that.
And Ezra's not taking her being there very well because he's worried about her. And same, like we said earlier, or I think we discussed this about, Kanan was very worried about Ezra. And here you see it's kind of like Kanan's more calm. Like, just trusting her ability. But also, if something does go wrong, you can't do anything about it. Because we're here and she's there. So,
right.
It's kind of like you're worrying yourself over nothing, basically.
But also, he says something interesting to Ezra. He says, being a Jedi is about learning what you can control, what you can control, what you can't control. And I think that speaks a lot for his growth as well. Yes. I think old Kanan would have been doing the exact same thing Ezra's doing. Pacing the floor, being very nervous and anxious. They decide to go on the space flight. And they're given a test of doing a dogfight simulation.
Yeah, but they use, like, they don't... They say something like your guns or your weapons have been set to something where it just kind of shocks the ship and stuns it.
But it counts, there's like a hit count.
Or something.
So that while that's happening, the
Sabine tells them, like, okay, this is going to be our chance to get away, because as soon as
Right.
Ezra and Kanan come to get us, like, or my friends come to get us, we can just ditch. That's basically what they're gonna do.
I also think it was kind of obvious that Rake wasn't going to make it. I'm not.
Me too.
I hate that it's. This is
Me
gonna
too.
sound controversial. I hate that it's like one of the. It's the only African American dude. And he like bites it. I hate that. But like his name, I'm like, I don't remember a Rake.
I don't either. I remember a
anything.
Hobby and a Wedge, but I do not remember you.
Yeah. So that's sort of their plan. Is they see the ship and then they begin to basically take off. And Sabine is just so confident to like basically talk back through Pryce through the headset because not knowing what's about to come next.
Right.
They basically dismantle their wings and orders one of them to be destroyed. The one that's destroyed is Rake's, so
Poor Rake.
he does not make it. So Sabine and the cadets watch as his fighter explodes. I was very shocked when they did this. I was not expecting Pryce to dismantle those wings.
Oh, me neither. Me neither.
But at the same time, it just seemed too easy.
That's true.
So I don't know why I was shocked, but I was. 'Cause I don't think, and again, I don't remember this ever happening to a tie. Just like their wings just pop off.
Yeah, because I think if she had just disabled them or pressed button and disabled them or something, but the fact their wings fell off, I think you're like, oh, they had no other option.
To go, yeah.
Mhm.
Which kind of sucks because then the ship, Ezra is really asking like, oh, we need to go get her, and then Kanan's
blown up.
Yeah, Kanan literally says, I think the line is, we can't save her if we're dead.
Yeah.
So they have to sort of make a break for it. So the cadets are now in custody. Pryce sets out to find out who the rebel agent is. Sabine volunteers as tribute to save Wedge. And because of Wedge's blunder, they now know that her name is Sabine.
Yeah.
They begin to then cuts back and forth between Sabine and Pryce and Hobby and Wedge in the cell.
Yeah, and it's so humorous, like a little bit of humor in this episode where they're like, we gotta go save her. And then it's like, what do we do? He's like, I don't know, like they have no idea what to do, you know, it's kinda like, and it has that same line like, well, what is your plan? He goes, I'll tell you when I think of it.
I don't think he ever gets a chance to think of it.
He does.
So while that's going on, you got Sabine, who gets into a full-on fisticuffs with Pryce, which I enjoyed.
This is one of my favorite moments, like, this fight sequence, man, she is so tough. Like, you don't want to mess with Sabine. And the fact that we get to see her more, instead of using blasters, more in combat, I mean, she knows, she's a Mandalorian, so...
I mean, I think I literally wrote, this is one of the few times we see non-lightsaber physical combat. Usually it's any type of physical punching, like we saw Ezra punch somebody in the season opener, I guess. But
we saw Hera punch...
Oh, that's right. Maybe there's more punches in here that I remember. I was thinking maybe Zeb did most of the punching.
Oh, yeah,
but
Zeb's a puncher. Yeah, definitely.
now that you said that, maybe there's other punches that I just didn't take notice of. But this is, like, repetitive. This is not like one punch, you're knocked out. This is full-on fighting you until you get knocked out.
And then she's like, you don't know who you're messing with or something. And then she says...
My clan taught me better.
Yeah.
Locks her into the little shocky thing.
Shocks her butt. Oh, I love it so much.
Plus, the fact that Sabine gets full-on kicked in the stomach.
Yeah.
Most people, I would collapse
done.
and be like, you win.
Yeah,
I have
give
no
up.
more breath in me. I'm done. You know, but she kind of just, keeps going. Because like you said, she's a fighter. So she ends up freeing Wedge and Hobby from their cell.
And this part is so funny because they're like, we were coming to save you. She's like, nah, that's cute. I'm like, oh, I just love it. I love her.
So they begin to basically run away from the cell, but the doors start closing on them, and they run into Agent Callus, who informs them of their safest route through the base. Tell Aurelios we're even, he says. Okay. Did you think Callus was Fulcrum at this point?
No. I know. I don't know if we can say it. I mean, let me put spoiler alert here of who Fulcrum is.
Here's the tea.
So, If you're watching this, spoiler alert, we're about to tell you who Fulcrum is in season 3. You'll find it out toward the end of the season. It's Callus. But in this moment, no. I know you were rooting for him. You've been rooting for this guy since season 2.
I don't know, like, I hated him. And I was like, you and your spaghetti strainer helmet, I don't, like you. And then you get to learn more about him, and then I'm just like, please be Fulcrum, please defect. I think in that moment, though, like, I feel like they were playing with us. Because it made you think, oh, is he Fulcrum? And it goes back to tell Zeb we're even. Mm-hmm. Like, oh no, it's not. I don't want it to be an honor thing. I want you to be Fulcrum, which I'll get my wish later. But I had like Stockholm syndrome with that. That scene.
Yes, no,
yeah, yes, no. So the 3 make their way to the Thai bomber, which it's a weird looking ship compared to
like two smacked together.
Yeah. It was weird. They began surviving Imperial pursuit, which is by, I believe, Scarus is the one that's pursuing
which was
them.
their, like, lieutenant, I don't know the rank, something. Leader of his little cadets, or whatever.
How come, it's gonna sound like I'm being stereotypical, how come a lot of the pilot trainers for the Empire have mustaches?
Yeah, I was about to say that, too. A lot of them do, yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. Anyway, they began to escape pursuit thanks to Ezra and Kanan, who basically fly the, I guess, rebel cruiser they're in. Mm-hmm. He almost runs into it.
I wish he had smacked it. I wish he had died on impact.
Yeah, kind of. But it would have damaged the ship.
Well, yeah, true.
No.
Yeah.
Part of me was like, why wasn't Wedge finding cloud cover? But he had this huge plume of smoke coming off of where they had been hit. There's no point. They're gonna find you really quickly. But they're able to be saved and basically dock with the ship and are able to head to the rebel base. Back at Adelon, Commander Sato then welcomes Wedge and Hobby into the rebellion. Again, Hobbs' name is never revealed in this episode.
I'm glad you had that because I was asking. I did not know his name.
So what did you rate this episode?
I actually enjoyed this episode. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Both thinking the same thing, I think.
Yeah.
My favorite moment, which we already discussed, is seeing Sabine be a boss at fighting, but also being a leader and saving the guys, and her fight with Pryce. Basically, all the Sabine in this episode was great. Not so favorite moment, like I think we already discussed it just kind of, I wish Fulcrum gave more information on these defectors than just, oh, there's some defectors, go check it out.
Yeah, like something along the lines of, again, something more organized, like, hey, they'll respond to the phrase this.
Yeah.
That lets you know that, just lets you know who your buddies are. You don't want to just reveal it to the wrong person. Because not only would that put Sabine in danger, like, what if they had revealed that to Joe Blow?
Yeah.
Hey, we're wanting to join the rebellion. Like, if there's someone else that doesn't have the same intentions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I said a lot of moments for Sabine to shine with her Imperial knowledge and protocol, which she even tries to put the Lieutenant Scarus in his place when he tells her to blow up the ship that has no weapons. And she's like, Imperial protocol mandates that and then he just cuts her off. Like, oh, I guess we're not doing protocol,
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like, she might know more than him.
I think he knows, he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Which is even worse.
Also, another thing which I love about Star Wars is a lot of these guys in this episode, they're young adults.
Yeah.
You got Sabine, who's probably, I don't know, 17, 18. Then you got Wedge and Hobby, which are probably young adults too. Just like, that's what I love about Star Wars, is these moments where you have like, rebellious youth. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta get that feel as well. Yeah, because I think, I don't know the statistics on this, but I think like the American Revolution and other revolutions, the age demographic that leads those is usually late teens to late 20s. It's usually the demographics that sort of lead the charges and do a lot of the, not that other older people don't, but they sort of are like behind the scenes doing a lot of more stuff, I guess.
The role of pilots in the rebellion, I didn't really think about how much they're needed. until this episode when
yeah.
Hera's like, we're losing all of our pilots. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're really, yeah, you need those.
I mean, you're talking about we're 90%.
Talking about a war in space.
Yeah, it's called Star Wars. It's
Yeah.
in the stars. Yeah, you need those pilots.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to our activity. So I come up with this. I come up with the dopey names, so I apologize. This activity is going to be called Mission Breakdown. So it's not only, there's some questions about the mission specifically, and then there's questions I'm going to ask you about what would you do if certain points of the mission break down.
Okay. I got you.
I've got this cube that because we're on a budget, that I made out of paper. I could have used like regular dice, but I don't know. 6.
Number 6.
Okay. Where do you think Ezra and Kanan were hiding the rebel cruiser?
You know, I asked this question when they appeared. I really did. I want to say wherever they were hiding the first time. Wherever that was.
Were they in space the first time,
I
or?
think they were just floating around in space, right? Just chilling.
I mean, yeah. I don't know the exact coordinates or anything.
Yeah, I don't know where were they the first time. I can't remember. I don't remember if they were like in hyperdrive or what.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no like right or wrong answer to these questions, by the way. It's just all opinionated. Okay, go again.
Go again? Okay. 3.
Okay. What would you have done as Sabine if Ezra and Kanan hadn't returned during the dogfight?
During the dogfight?
I mean, the dogfight. Where Scarus
where their
is
wings
chasing them.
fell off and...
No, where Scarus is chasing them.
Oh, where Scarus is chasing them. There's really not much you can do. I mean, they were dead. I mean, I don't want to be grim, but, because like we mentioned earlier, he had that smoke trail, and you're talking about an experienced pilot is following you, and now you just gave them even more of a open target. They would have all been shot down, blown up, basically, if Kanan and Ezra hadn't showed up when they did.
Okay.
So
Next.
probably...
Nothing.
Well, for not
Nothing.
knowing you guys, bleh. Boom. Like,
Okay.
I feel like I would have tried to keep evading him, but it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, I feel like his Wedge, I would have tried to do something, but maybe go, I don't know what
Maybe
planet
go to
they're
the
floating
surface?
On. Go to the surface and see if there's obstacles, rocks I can get behind or something.
Yeah.
But at least the clouds were giving us sun cover.
Yeah.
You go to the surface and you're taking a chance.
Yeah.
There's going to be even more of an opening, you know?
That's true.
I would just honestly do what I do in the video games and just barrel roll him.
Barrel
The
roll.
entire time.
Just
Barrel roll. But I don't know if this ship can do that. It would probably do that,
I mean,
but
it was
really
pretty much
slow.
almost gone anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
even when they docked with Ezra and Kanan, it's still smoking on this.
It's like, oh, they don't blow up during the hyperdrive. Good lord.
Or jump. 4.
Okay. If Sabine hadn't escaped Pryce, what would have been Wedge and Hobby's plan?
I don't really know. Because I don't think they knew. I don't know. What do you think their plan would have been?
Because we've seen it happen before, and because some of these guards are idiots, like pretend one of them needs to go to sick bay or something, and then just ambush them, take their weapons,
Oh.
and then make my way, figure it out from there. That's how I get out. How we could go and get Sabine out of there, I don't know. But
I honestly thought Callus was going to let him out. Because he was there when they put him in that container, and then he kind of walked by. I'm like, dang it.
maybe, yeah.
I feel like if they had known Callus was Fulcrum, that's what I would have done. But that's a what if scenario. They didn't. Nobody knew that.
just kind of wait until he shows up, even if you don't know he's Fulcrum.
1.
Okay, this is just a recap question. Where were Hera and Zeb during this episode?
Oh my god. She said it too. She said what they were going to be doing. Weren't they going to try to assist another drop or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
because this is with I think it's Caricon? is the name of the planet. It's the same one they were trying to assist in the beginning.
The first time, yeah.
Let me see. What would you have done if Sabine's ID card, if you were Sabine, didn't work the second time?
Ooh. I probably would have made up another lie. Look,
What would the lie have been?
Look, it was just issued, I swear. Well, I'm probably not, I swear. I'm a terrible liar. Probably like, look, it was just issued. I've been having problems with it. You know, something like that along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe me, I guess you don't want another pilot.
Yeah. I would have made sure that some of these copies of that ID would have been set to Bureau Records. I don't know if they would track that. So that if they did look it up, you'd be in the system.
Yeah.
How would you, as Wedge or Hobby or Rake, escaped if Sabine hadn't arrived?
It sounds like they were trying to get out anyway before she showed up. It's just when the pressure kind of was on them when they found out. Oh,
they're investigating
us. Yeah. Now, I don't know what they would find if they investigated them. I don't know. I don't know if they were just going to go and torture every cadet. I don't know how that was going to work. Probably just try to escape as best I could. Either, again, I mean, look at all the ships we got hanging around. You know, maybe trying to, but again, the problem, I don't know if tides can jump. That's the problem. So
if they have hyperdrive capabilities.
So if you get in one and you just leave, they're going to just follow you and chase you. You have no other, capability.
It's too bad we don't have, I hate to bring it up because it's controversial. It's too bad we don't have, like, transport beaming in Star Wars.
Like in Star Trek?
Yeah, you just beam to another planet.
That would be helpful.
Yeah. Peace, I'm out.
I gotta go to the bathroom. Let me go in the transport room. Beep. Okay, bye.
Yeah. I don't know what I would have done if Sabine hadn't showed up. Prayed.
Yeah, that's your only option. I mean...
Because, I mean, I myself wouldn't want to get in a ship, even though that's what I'm good at.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like they would just went pow. Like,
that's what I was saying. Like, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And this base is kind of like, I don't know where this base was located.
It looks like it's in the air.
It's in the air, yeah, to train pilots. Like, where do you go? Like,
go to the surface if you're on the planet somehow. I don't know what planet this is, but... Alright, that was all the questions.
Oh, alright. Well, anything else about this episode?
I just really enjoyed it. Overall, it was a pretty strong episode, I think, for the season.
Yeah, I liked it too.